Hi, I'm Steve Christian, and today I'm going to tell you about the time I became a spiritual Jedi. Back in the summer of 2012, I had recently met spiritual medium Pamela Theresa, and my life was about to change forever. She agreed to work with me to open up my spiritual gifts because she told me that the things that she can do, I can do. I didn't believe her because this woman can see and hear the dead like you see and hear me right now. Now, I did grow up seeing and hearing spirit growing up, but to me, they always looked very translucent, very see through, kind of like a silhouette, almost like a cloaked predator in the movie Predator, if you will. That's how they appeared to me, with a few exceptions. I did see a couple of really solid looking people that I could swear were living, breathing people that would walk into a room and disappear. That's a different story for another time. So, on this summer day in July of 2012, Pamela and I decided to work what I call Jedi training, where she would teach me how to open up my spiritual gifts. She said the first thing you need to work on is feel. You feel the spirit world. Then you can hear the spirit world. And finally, you can see the spirit world. Feel, hear, see. So I picked her up and we decided to go grab a bite to eat. So we're in the parking lot of a small diner at Jacksonville Beach. And she told me that she had a session earlier in the day with a client where she actually was connecting them with their heavenly loved ones. That's her day job. That's what she does. She does clients with people and connects them to their loved ones, bringing forth validations that their loved ones have from the other side, their heavenly loved ones, not ghost, heavenly. And she said that the gentleman that came through in her session earlier happened to be with her right now, and he wanted to help with our Jedi training. And she told me to close my eyes and just focus and describe the man standing next to her. So I did what she said. I closed my eyes, tried to empty my thoughts, and I started to get visions of a gentleman, an older gentleman wearing like a plaid shirt, unbuttoned with like a white t-shirt underneath, and he was balding. He was bald on top and had hair on the sides, and he was probably around 70 years old. So I described this man, and she said, "Bingo, that's the man that came through in her session earlier for her client. That was her grandfather." It's like, wow, I just saw spirit, but I saw it as a vision in my mind. I didn't see him like physically like she does. I saw him, he just a vision of him popped into my head, but I described him to a T. So then we decide to go to a public place, a park out at Jacksonville Beach, because spirits are everywhere. Earthbound spirits, particularly, are literally everywhere. She said there's no such thing as an empty park bench. I believe her. So we pull up to this park, and it's broad daylight. It's probably 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's some people sprinkled around the park, but there's also earthbound spirits sprinkled around the park. Now, I'd been a paranormal investigator for a couple of years at this point with the TV show Local Haunts. So I'd been around some pretty scary, haunted places. I always knew when there was spirit around. I just kind of had this feeling, this sense that I was not alone. And so she wanted me to tap into that and to find earthbound spirits in the park. So she said, just go where there's a spirit. And so I just started walking, and I walked up to there was this clump of tall grass in the middle of the park, and it was like a planter area, but there was like tall grass and maybe some little shrubs and stuff. And I walked right into it because I felt pulled there, like it was just like a magnetic pull. I don't know why, but I was walking in that direction. And I walked into this clump of grass, and she says, "Congratulations, you found her." And I said, "Who's her?" And she said, "There's an earthbound spirit of a young woman standing in this grass, and she's just standing there." I'm like, wow. So I found her. Pamela could see her. Then after a while, something really crazy happened. Pamela said that she could touch me remotely. And this really blew my mind. I'm like, what do you mean touch me remotely? So we're standing about 10 feet apart from each other, facing each other. And she said, "I'm going to touch you. And then I'm going to tell you where I touched you, and you're going to validate." So she's standing there just looking at me. And then I felt like a tingling sensation on my left arm, like, like, uh, like my arm was falling asleep, like it's just a staticky feeling on my arm. And I said, I feel something on my left arm. She goes, that's where I'm touching you. I'm like, wow. Okay. So she goes, all right, now I'm gonna touch you again, and I'm gonna tell you where I'm touching you, and you have to validate. So we're standing there facing each other, and lo and behold, I feel a stroke on my neck, like a feeling on my neck, like the same kind of tingly sensation on my neck, and it's just like a light, like a breezy touch on my neck. And she goes, "Did you feel something?" I said, "Yes, I did." She goes, "Did you feel it on your neck, on your right side?" I said, "That's exactly where I felt it." So validating that that she touched me there. So and then she did it one more time, and it was weird. My whole body was like tingling, and she was like, "Did you feel that?" And I said, again, she's 10 feet away from me, and I said, "Yes, I did." She goes, I just gave you a hug, so you should be feeling it in multiple places. I said, yeah, my whole body pretty much was like tingling. I could feel the whole thing. So it was amazing. I couldn't believe this. How could she just stand there and just like leave her body and touch me? It's amazing. Blown away. I could not believe that people could do this. That I'm standing in front of one, but I wanted to learn more. At this point, it was getting a little bit warm because it's like in a summer day in Florida. And so I wanted to find some shade. And there was this building in the middle of the park. It's like I guess restrooms or something. So I walked over to the building, and it was like a little awning, and I stood under the awning, and I turned around and had my back to the building, and I put my right leg up. I was leaning against the wall and kind of like rested my foot on the wall behind me. And she started chuckling. And I said, what's funny? And she goes, well, you just walked up to an earthbound spirit, and he's standing exactly like you are. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I had somehow found another earthbound spirit and did it and mimicked him. I basically stood like he was standing. And then something really weird happened. I immediately started getting stabbing pains that doubled me over in my groin area, just out of nowhere, just like suddenly. And it was very painful. And I bent over really quick, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, I just got these pains down in my private areas." And she's like, "Well, okay, calm down." She said, "You're connecting to him. You're empathically feeling the guy standing next to you, the earthbound spirit that was standing next to me." She said, "That's how he died. That's where his injury was." I'm like, oh, because she's an empath as well. So not only does she have real time communication with the spirit world, but she can actually feel, and apparently so could I, their cause of death because it's part of their energy. He wasn't doing it to me. Since I had connected to him some way spiritually, I was feeling his death process, something she goes through every day of her life. Can't be much fun. So on this day of Jedi training, I found earthbound spirits, walked up to them, found them in the park, felt them empathically, and got remotely touched by the most incredible freaking nature I've ever met in my life. This was going to be a fun ride. Stay tuned for more fun stories with me and Pamela Theresa on my Haunted Medium Life.